All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee and sexy as hell as usual. It is not letting me set super chat goals. All right, it is not letting me set super chat goals. It did, but it didn't do anything with it. All right, uh, maybe it'll let me redo that. All right, I'll have to just keep restarting it, but. Hopefully we get a good chat. I'm going to do a bunch of posting here because I'm getting in here 4:30, so I got to do lots of posting. I'm going to chat with you guys. I guess in the meantime, I keep seeing it's so weird. Like when you look at all the Epstein file stuff, right? What's up, Lars? For some reason, everyone who hates Trump has this idea that he's going to be hit with something from it, and I legitimately don't think that he's going to be. I think it's very strange wishful thinking on the part of people who hate him, and I get it if you hate somebody, but I mean keep in mind, guys, hating someone doesn't make them a pedophile or a child abuser, and I think people need to stop with that connection. As someone who's a survivor of it, I actually find the way that people jump at that pretty offensive. Lars, look at the stuff that we have seen of victims and stuff saying. So here's your context. I'm gonna give you 2 points to think about. Using stuff on leverage on someone doesn't mean that they did anything for one. Number two, a couple things to keep in mind. Victims who've come forward thus far when they were asked about Trump have said, all right, but let's come over. Victims who've come forward have said that they don't think he was involved or was it with any of the underage girls, right? Okay. Number two, and I want something for you to think this through for a moment. And I think this is a fair statement. I do have to get some posts done. If they had anything on him, Lars, the last administration had so much power, they would have leveraged it in the election. Let's just be honest. Let's be objective with that. Set aside any personal feelings, hatred. If they had leverage on this, they would have used it during the election. Is that a fair statement? Right? They would have used it. I would have used it. I was running against someone that had dirt like that and had that type of power. I 100% would have used it. Right? The Biden Harris administration would have used it in the election. And that's the way things work. That would have already come out. They would not have let him got this far. Okay. So there is that. It's just my take on it. I've got to get some posts done real quick. I'm still not over there, but did you get an alert, by the way? Lawrence? I'm assuming we're getting alerts out. All right, I'm hoping so. All right, I'm hoping so. Um, all right. What do we want here? Let's pick a different color. All right, cool. Come over here, chat with you guys. It's Lars. We rarely get many people here. Good morning, Max. Speaking of training, I have removed the chest fly zone. I use Yips instead. Thanks for the advice the other day. Awesome. Yeah, no, we're getting some people. Remember, hit the like button, guys. So at least alerts are going out. So it's 4:30 in the morning here. It means I can do a nice long stream. All right, nice long stream. But I got to get a couple posts done here. Actually, let me just do them that way. Let's make more money. Uno momento, guys. I just got to get some group posts rolling so that we can justify these long streams. I have to multitask. I mean, it would be different if there was massive supers like at one time. But since that is not the normal day, I can't do just the live stream. It's not good business time. At least it let me set the super goal. It's not letting me set any criteria all of a sudden for the super chat goals. It's not letting me put a timer, so it's making the field stay blank. So I guess I'll have to hit it every 30 minutes. All right. Unfortunately. Why is it not working over here? Sorry, guys. I'm still waking up. Having some minor technical difficulties. There we go. All right, hop over to you guys. I'm brewing up a cup of tea. Take your time. No spoilers from the Thursday night game. Please, we'll watch later today. I'm also working. Just nice to keep this chat. No spoilers. No, Lars, there's screenshots up. There's screenshots up of the chat. I think that we covered the single most important fitness topic of the entire month, right? Client Ted brought it up. I can't see anything more important happening in the YouTube fitness world than that topic that we covered. So we voted on Cocaine Bear versus Trinaconda. Who would win? All right. Ted's going to make a movie. All right. Ted's going to make a movie. No, man, I can't think of anything more important than that out there. All right. Yeah, we'll keep the chat turning here. But it'll pick up. I mean, so here's the plus side, guys. We're 10 minutes in and we already have multiple conversations and likes going. As a general rule, that's usually a good sign because it will help with the algorithm all the way through. Plus, we got a snazzy title. Those titles matter. And I hate to have to say it, but it's true. You know, putting things in titles seems to give a little more traffic. And it doesn't seem like much, but over a 3 hour one, it absolutely adds up. Like, it's quantifiable. Right? I can absolutely see it. Oh, can't believe I missed this. I'm doing some coursework right now, but I have been to the UK and Ireland. Right? Oh man, you've been to both. I have never actually been to Ireland while I was there. I mean, I hit a few parts of England. I hit Wales. Oh, I did some of my government paperwork for my visa and stuff over there in Wales, like in Cardiff. See, I thought it was too early in the States for most people. Yep. Some people are up, you know. But keep in mind the East Coast. Like, the East Coast is an hour ahead of me. So, Lars, you've got to remember we have 4 time zones on the continental U.S. So the far East Coast is 1 hour ahead of me, and then California is 2 hours behind me. Right? 2 hours behind me. Again, people in Europe tend to forget the scale sometimes of the U.S. I've noticed that they don't really understand. I know that from living in the UK. You know, yeah, like it's, and I think when they understand the size of Texas, it puts it into scale of, and I always remind people stuff that Americans take for granted. They don't understand that you don't know. All right, it's easier to think of the United States as almost the equivalent of 50 countries. You can't drive across Texas in 5 hours. It can't be done. Right? And keep in mind, I don't know what your speed limits are like, but most interstates are 70 miles an hour. So it's that in kilometers. So what's our speed limit? So 113 kilometers per hour is how fast you're allowed to drive. Right? Yeah. So with no stops, you would make it less than halfway across Texas. So if you were to start at the eastern border of Texas, you might make it to the center with no stopping. Like, it's just a one solid down the interstate. Right? Hence why when people say, hey, what's certain stuff like in Texas, we kind of laugh and go, I don't know, man. It could be snowing and hot on the same day. Right? It could be t-shirt and short weather and snowing at the same time concurrently in Texas. And be 12 hours drive apart, you know. I said, the parking guards are insane. That was a culture shock to me how they are correct, right? Right. My observation, having lived in other countries and seen stuff and then deal with issues we deal with in the US, I don't take any of the anti-police stuff seriously in the US, right? Because one, I know multiple police officers in real life, including family. But I've seen even law enforcement corruption and the rules that they have to follow in other countries versus the US. US police are fairly soft handed. And even though they're armed, police shootings are rarer than you would expect because they're pretty restricted in their use of force, all things considered. You know, um, so um, and I've noticed, generally speaking, anyone who stands around with some of these thoughts on police, it tells me a lot about where they're from and their way of life. And I think people forget in conversations when you have people who get up and do different protests and say certain things. I think they're forgetting. People forget that everyone has internet access. Drug dealers have internet access. Pedophiles have internet access. Gang members have internet access. Right? And so there's a lot of your context for the people who make the biggest deal. These are people coming from criminal groups. Oftentimes, it's not. Again, the people who have the biggest problem with police are generally people who are lifelong criminals. You know, of course they don't like cops, right? And that's the other thing I find too is usually addicts. Again, people have no context um, for that either. They forget how many drug addicts and people there are, and who live lives built around that. And, and how many of them do you then see even become influencers and things? Like there's somebody I finally blocked her in my feed. I get tired of seeing her in my feed. There's this one woman on Facebook. I keep seeing her reels come through, and her entire set of reels, and they get tens of thousands of views, is all about just cultural degeneracy. Morning, Joe. Right. So you look at her stuff, and it's like she's getting all these views and traction. All her little clips and shorts are about when you start dating your drug dealer, or all about prison when she was in prison, and what things are like in prison is little funny clips. And it's like, keep in mind, this is a whole giant culture. You know, I didn't see some of it to the same extent until I got into certain of my social circles. Hey, chat, what's going on, Peppermint? I didn't see some of it till I got into my own social circles and got around a lot of it. And a lot of it has to do with who I was with. So, in short, guys, me having dated, and I'm trying not to talk about her, but when I dated Brittany, I saw a completely different world, right? Yeah, people definitely the notices went out. I saw a completely different world than the world that I was used to, and realized how many drugs and partying and that whole way of life is right here around all of us. Um, man. But I did get to see people because of different stuff, her hair thing, and then the same thing when I went and we did the haunted house thing, and I saw the different people around it and the cultures, and I got to see different parts of the internals of subcultures in America. Um, and it helped me to understand the larger problem. I met a lot of interesting people, right? And I've maintained different connections. So, but here's the thing, I've sat down and been in a room full of people who would be stuff who were later involved in Antifa and things like that, and heard their conversations. And a lot of this has led me to those conclusions that I have, that almost all of our problems are substance abuse. Most of the problems that we have in the United States come down to substance abuse. You know, I have someone on my friends list who I know in real life who is pretty much an Antifa guy, but I know him. Had conversations with him in person. It's been a decade. I don't think I've seen him in 8 years, but meaning I've had these conversations with a lot of these people. And that's why when we talk about we have to do stuff to end the flow of drugs, all these problems largely disappear if the drugs are gone. Like, this is the leading thing that cripples us as a society, creates the crime, creates the various negative cultures that we have. It's the flow of hard drugs, and then alcohol being right behind it. You know, there's where the problem lay. Like, there's your underlying source. It's the substance abuse. I need to get coffee, guys. All right, we're back, guys. You know, but yeah, definitely, it's drugs are the problem. That's a hard one to sell though in the fitness world though, because so many dudes rely on gear. Because that's the other problem, as far as the gear world goes. I don't think people truly do not understand the extent of anabolic use in the normal fitness world. And that's what's comical to me when you have all these conversations with people. Um, no one's really natty. Um, so this whole online idea of this massive natty culture is really just an outspoken cult. And then younger guys who get into the fitness world, they're completely clueless. So I mean, I get people in here, really, I don't know anyone who uses anabolics, and it's like, because you're not in the club. To me, that's wild. You know, but it's a lot of younger, naive guys get into the fitness world, and they don't understand. And I don't know any other way to put it. It's been so distorted due to to gear use, um, that they really don't understand. The term "looking like you lift" has become ubiquitous with steroids, right? Because they know tons of guys on gear at their gym. They've lost sight of what a gear user looks like versus a natural. And we've reached a point where people newer into the lifting world are not differentiating between these two things. That when their mind, someone who looks like they lift, it's not looking like you lift, it's looking like you're on steroids. They've confused the two. Because when they meet someone who's a true, real, legit lifetime natural, they're like, well, do you even lift, bro? They don't understand. Well, this guy must have just horrible genetics or must be really lazy in the gym. In reality, it's a dude who's put in 10 years of pretty respectable work sometimes. All right, that's why Omar might have been the only daddy one. This is why we joke about it, but there's some degree of truth to that. And this is why I think social media is dangerous on this end. And I don't know how else to put it though. I mean, we're at a point where I don't care. As long as dudes are going through their doctor or they want to do TICO, that's kind of the advice I would give people. Like I almost feel like my message needs to be, look, just go to a T clinic. Do it all legal, do your blood work. Make sure you're healthy with it. I don't even feel like encouraging natty at this point because the problem is the culture is too immersed. And they're too immersed in it. And the average person who sees social media will never be happy with a natural physique. If they care about physique goals, let's be brutally honest. If they've been watching social media, they will never be happy with a natural physique. They just won't. They will be completely unsatisfied. And I started to realize that years ago. I remember when I made a whole video saying, because people are like, you're putting up fake natties. Why don't you put us up? Exactly. Yeah, he got called out for that. Omar did. Why don't you give us an example of a true natural? And I put up Eric Helms. And you guys need a context. We know that Eric did that one cycle, but he is obtainable natural. And I mean, again, he's competed when he was living overseas. He made it to nationals and the IPF affiliate. So he was a national level competitor in the IPF, drug tested. He had a natural pro card and had won natural bodybuilding shows. For someone who's truly being drug tested in multiple sports, Eric Helms represented an obtainable lifetime goal for the average guy natural, as far as physique, right? So he was a great example of if you're an average guy, you're not particularly genetically gifted, what sort of physique could they strive for as a completely lifetime natural? And I put it up as a realistic, fair, hey, if you really work hard for 10 years, this is a realistic goal. If you work hard. The response was not good. But context, guys, he said IPF lifter, drug tested, made it to national level, and then had a natural pro card in bodybuilding and had won shows. He was a national level competitor in the US. That's not bottom tier. He is a top 10%. People were like, wow, if that's the best that I could do natural, I don't even want to bother lifting. I had comments like that. They're like, wow, so apparently going to the gym is a complete waste of time. That was the responses we got. There were comments like that in the video. People were acting demoralized, like, wow, I don't even want to bother to lift it. If that's all I can obtain, if that's it, and it shows how warped things are. And that was back then. Right? So here's a perfect example of, I think this is around that time period. So this is the physique. So this was right around that time period. So, and this is what he looked like, you know, not dieted down for shows, you know. But people were like, oh, that's, you know, a waste of time. Like, really, guys? And that shows how warped it is. But you take that away, but you go show that to the average person. So if you show that to the average person who's not tied up in this game, they're going to think he looks good. Like, that would be a very desirable physique to mainstream people who are not caught up in fitness social media. All right. The average person who's very new to lifting, who has not been exposed to the fitness influencers in bodybuilding. Right. Mainstream people think, oh, that's a steroid physique. Exactly. But to someone who's new to training, so Peppermint, when you first started working out, your first week in the gym, and you saw that picture, you would have been like, oh man, he looks good. I'd like to get there. Can I do that without steroids? Right. Right. So, right. People need a context for this. Yeah, that's a very impressive. You know, but people need a frame of reference. They need a frame of reference, and they don't have it. And it's not like Eric was weak either, which is why it really puzzled me. You know, I really thought when I made the video that would go over well when I made it. I was naive enough that I really thought it would be well received. Now, keep in mind, powerlifting was way weaker back then. I'm kind of curious what his lifts were looking like back then. Oh man. Oh, his current lifts are. Oh boy, I'd crush him in a powerlifting meet. Let's go over to the old stuff. He did a meet 2 years ago. Let's go back to that 2015 era. So he was 200 pounds. He hit a 485 squat. He benched 325. All right. So in the 205 class raw, I mean, he had some pretty decent lifts there. I would think that was his best meet. He generally benched right at 140 kg and then usually missed his next attempt after most meets all through that period. Usually high 400s squat, you know. So he was definitely a national level competitor. All right. I think you got to get strong to get that jack as a natty. I agree. But he was, keep in mind, he could hit my standards. He hit my dad bod strength standards. He inched past them about 10%. Except mostly the bench, not quite the bench. So, you know, right? Yeah. I think his best deadlift ever was 550. So like 250 kg, I think was his best in comp. When I looked, I'd have to pull it back up. He's not doing that lately. So his last meet here at age 40, he hit a 518 deadlift. He's benching under 3. He's not hitting 300 benches again now. So he's struggling with 300 bench at 40. So those were in his 30s. So after age 40, it looks like he's at a 518 deadlift, like a 450 squat, and a 292 bench. Bandmen, what did Bandmen post? I came in and saw a message retracted when I tabbed back over. What we missed, bro. Sort of tomfoolery did we have here? Anybody catch what he put? Oh man. Bandman, I didn't see it. Bandman said, is it any amount of corn consumption bad, or can it be okay to watch in moderation? I don't know how to answer that, Bandman. I don't know what the real answer is there. I will say that we have clear evidence that porn addiction is extremely problematic. I don't know what we have for information showing that porn in moderation, whether it's problematic or not. I don't have a good answer for you. Right? I don't have a good answer for you. But I will ask the question when it comes to that of, so rather than us try to figure that out, let's ask the question of why do you feel the need to watch it? Is your relationship not going well? Like what's happening in your love life to where you're needing to watch it would be the real question, even in moderation. You know, I think that's the direction to go with it. Do we really ask ourselves those questions rather than to give a condemnation of the entire thing? Man, I would say to you to sit back and really assess that, because that's going to be, I guess, a very personal thing. Is it a problem for you? Well, is it being used as a crutch from developing a healthy love life? Is it something you're temporarily having to do while you're single? And is that interfering with your ability to meet a woman? All right. Because I'm going to say that if you're having to watch it and you've got a good sex life, that's a sign of addiction. Like if you have a good love life with a woman already, and you still are needing it, that's not a good sign. So I mean, that's what I would ask is, what's going on with your life? I just started drinking cappuccino in the morning to curb hunger. It's only 70 calories, feels full. I don't know what's in your cappuccino, Limitless. Hey, Limitless. Man, you guys got to drop ingredients, not these whole foods. I'm an ingredient guy. And if I don't know what's in your whole mixture, I can't tell you anything. So rather than ask me about the cappuccino, you could come to me and go, hey, coach, this food I'm consuming has X in it. Is that ingredient a problem? And if it's got refined sugar, I'll tell you, yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't be consuming refined sugars. Can you get it with an artificial sweetener, so on and so forth? You know, are we curbing hunger by consuming 70 calories of refined sugar and saturated fat? Well, I don't know that that's a win. So just throwing that out there. So I'm going to read out this post I just did, right? This hilarious. So I put this up last night, right before bed or in the middle of the night. I wrote, muscle mass is protective against cancer, diabetes, and a variety of other conditions that ravage us with age. Therefore, it made sense to maximize it, right? You want to see what stupidity someone wrote? What shite? Haha, cancer grows on muscle, so in reality, the more muscle you have, the more chance. Plus, steroids cause lots of deaths. How are people this stupid? All right. So can you just not put the refined sugar in it? Limitless. So you're going to ask me to endorse consuming refined sugar, and I'm not going to do that. Because if you write the word sugar, I assume you mean sucrose. Again, keep in mind, I'm gonna be very scientific when it comes to ingredients. I don't care about slang terms. If you tell me sugar, I assume that means table sugar, which is the chemical sucrose. Right? I'm not going to sign off on consuming refined sugar. I think that's an easy position for me to take. There is no reason for you to ever add refined sugar to anything. There's no reason to have it in your house. Right. So, but why do you have to add the refined sugar is my point. You could skip that part. You could add an artificial sweetener if you really need it. So that's all I'm saying, Limitless. I mean, I'm just not going to sign off on refined sugar. I'm just not. That was your first time. So you consume things without reading the ingredient list? To me, that's so limitless. To me, as a lifelong fitness person who lost a lot of weight, me going and buying stuff other than an occasional restaurant, I can't even comprehend buying a food and consuming it without reading the ingredient list. Is for me a very foreign concept. That makes sense. So for me, that's something that I would just that sounds too. So from my perspective and my way of life, that sounds really weird. Makes sense. That's a completely foreign idea to me. Well, large appetite itself is always just definitely problematic. Right? It's definitely problematic. I'm 80 kilograms, 6 foot. All right. And I'm Linus, I'm not telling you you're doing anything wrong, but I'm just simply saying that for me in person, I can't really visualize me going and buying foods and consuming them other than in a restaurant setting where I don't read the ingredient list. I care about the ingredients more than the calories personally. I want to know what's in my food, but that's me. For me, it's second nature. It's going on, Connor? What's going on? What? We only got 3 likes, guys. Y'all got to get them likes up. Need to get those likes up. We got to make a status here. I got to do more of those. I got to do more of the statuses on Facebook like that in the middle of other stuff. As far as the page. So I manage my page and my profile separately. They're completely separate businesses. I don't do enough of those. All right. Pull-ups are hard AF. Look at me, man. Pull-ups they're just a lift, man. We just do them. All right. Connor's 5'9", 98 kilograms. Hey, Limitless. I have no idea, man. Hey, Limitless. Do I seem like the right person to ask that question to? I don't know anything about the cappuccino culture of Indonesia. No, I drink black coffee. I'm not saying I've never had a cappuccino, by the way, Limitless, but I drink black coffee, dude. Right. Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to ask these things. Yeah. I drink just straight black coffee in the mornings. It's literally what I do. Right. That's what Coach does. What? Look at this hater. Someone wrote under my GPP training yesterday, Coach is losing some size. Well, we can't stay jacked forever. Since when am I losing size? Guys, wow. That's a first. I can't believe anybody thinks I've lost size compared to any time recent. Oh, man. Peppermint says, heavy sub for Ben was 88 kilograms. All right. Coach, speaking of Indonesia, they don't have problems with drugs and they have capital punishment for drug dealing. It's hardly a coincidence. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm stronger now than I was. You have a large problem. Is it relative to the rest of the world large, though? You know, I don't think it's anywhere near our problem. It's like that conversation we were having. It's the rampant use of drug abuse is the number one problem in the United States. Like almost all of our other major problems stem from it. Right? Including our violence all stems back to substance abuse. Lars, have you considered becoming a warlord chieftain? Lars, you're still at the Orc Warrior. You didn't go warlord, right? Or war chief. The war chief is the highest tiered, you know. But no, really, when you think about so many of our problems in the U.S., it's always substance abuse. Hell, even so, alcohol and firearms. That's a conversation. Do you know that almost every single firearm accident is due to alcohol? I've met 3 people in my life who accidentally shot themselves, by the way. Guess how many of them were under the influence of alcohol when it happened? All 3. All 3 had been drinking when it occurred. Coincidence. I would consider reporting my squats if someone, oh gosh. Even Afghanistan has drug problems. It makes sense that deprived countries would have a bigger drug issues, right? You know, yeah, I mean, it's our substance abuse issues really are most of our economic problems, most of our crime problems. Limitless says, I'm very surprised coffee in the morning is so filling, though, coach. I am not doing it optimally, but still feel very good. What do you mean? Okay, fair enough. You just didn't know. Do you know why? I can tell you the mechanism. It shouldn't be a surprise. Caffeine is an appetite suppressant. All right. Connor, the Taliban cracked down on opium production, but still prevalent. Same with weed farms in Afghanistan. Gotcha. Gotcha. Mm. Oh, man. Within 8 hours. So 8 hours before bedtime, you need to cut off all caffeine. All right. Almost no amount of caffeine will affect your sleep if you cut it off within 8 hours of bedtime. All right. You want to clear your system. You got to clear your system, Browse. A minute here, guys. I got to do some posts real quick. It's just strange to me. I put a post like that about muscle mass, and it's just it again shows the profound level of ignorance in people that they would actually make rebuttals against telling people to gain muscle to reduce cancer and diabetes and other health issues. It's like, wow, I just can't. To me, that's totally amazing. All right. That's absolutely amazing that people don't know these basic things. I got a conversation with Ariel. She gets into some of her woo stuff sometimes. And I try to explain. She's like, no, this is not about, I'm like, it is ignorance, Ariel. She made a post about the people, whatever, with their nervous system of who get caught up in doing endless cleanses and detoxes. All right. Yeah. I used to do collabs with Ariel, art friend of mine. And I tried to point that out with, I tried to point that out, and I think she missed the point when I said, no, it is. I said, it's also a sign of fucking stupidity. Sorry, I got to watch the bombs in here. It's a sign of stupidity. Say, no, it's just, okay, we can call it ignorance. And I'm like, how is that not ignorance? Just because it's popular fads in the fitness world, like if you actually believe in detoxes or cleanses, you are ignorant. There is no other way to describe it. And in 2025, to possess that level of ignorance is completely unacceptable. If you live in a first world country and you are literate and have access to a smartphone and can therefore have access to the entire body of scientific knowledge, if you actually believe that cleanses and detoxes do anything, that's an unacceptable level of ignorance. That is a complete biological fail. Like, in my opinion, we shouldn't be giving high school diplomas to people with that level of biology knowledge. Like, they should have to go take some remedial classes or something. Like that is an unacceptable education level. That we have grown adults with jobs and high school diplomas who believe that cleanses and detoxes do something, can actually cleanse or detox the body. That is just completely unacceptable level of ignorance. Right? These people need to be sent back to like a remedial level of basic education. Right. All right, guys, I need more coffee. All right, we're back. I listen to different types of music too. I have a pretty diverse musical palette myself. Right? At different times, So I agree with that, Limitless. So I need to come up with another big picture for something for Facebook. Those do really well. I had another one that hit hard. Did that hit? Well, some of the statuses. So it's not just the pictures. Never mind. Hmm. No, I agree with that though, Lars. Definitely having a diverse music cultural palette can be a good thing. But I'm also a musician, so I'm gonna have that viewpoint. We see that a lot, though. I mean, you see people out there, though, especially younger people. Um, Speaking of music, who often identify with a single genre of music, right? And the older we get, this is funny. The older we get, the more that if we like music, we appreciate a higher diversity. And if you play an instrument, you appreciate a higher diversity of music, right? Hey, Limitless, I just can't help you, man. I feel like at times, Limitless, I got to be honest with you, dude. I don't want to be a dick, but I feel like talking to you too much is actually going to hurt my own mindset. Like me even addressing something like that is I just can't, dude. Because that level of insecurity, you can expose other men to it. Like they can absorb that by just talking to you too much. Like in real life, I would have cut you out of my circles already for that sort of mindset. I just can't have people like that in my life. I'm just telling you straight up. No, I mean you can ask, but do you see what I'm saying? So think about how bad that sort of mindset is. You got to just stop all of that. This level of insecurity to where you even give a single flying F what she says about it, this is your problem. Like, bro, maybe you should go ahead and do some steroids. Maybe a shot of testosterone would fix this problem. But I can't, dude. I'm not trying to be mean, but dude, come on, man. You gotta, yeah. So look at, I think of what Connor just wrote. Limitless, just own it and find someone who likes it. Stop obsessing over other people's validation. You have to stop that. You have to stop. Just stop, dude. And I think they're right. So Peppermint made a point. Yeah, it's not great. This ends up dominating the live streams. Other men get affected. Yeah, like you're bleeding weakness onto other people, other men. It's not good, dude. So what you need to do is just be confident and stop looking for external validation from these women. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's not good, dude. Yeah. Mm. What does Dangestein mean? How many cups of coffee you drink? I don't know. About a pot and a half. Because so here's what I do with the coffee pot. So I go make this giant cup, and then I go add and retop the whole thing up to refill up. So I probably have, 20 cups of I don't know if they measure the cups as actual measurements of cups on the coffee maker. This shows you how little I track this. You're probably like, what? I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. Are those cups on the coffee maker line the measurement cup? Are they supposed to represent small cups? I don't know, man. So the coffee pot holds 12 cups, and I probably have 1.5 coffee pots every morning. So however many is in 1.5 pots of coffee. All right. Caffeine addiction. Yeah, I'm definitely a caffeine addict. I have been my whole life, at least adult life. Very famous UFC MMA favorite brothers live there like Kebab Limitless. So he wants him to go live in Russia. Tough enough. Yeah. Oh, man. And therein lay the problem that we have. Yeah, because Limitless, I've just got to be frank, man, dude. I can't help you across a different culture and everything. And I don't know. My focus is on the pussification of the Western male. Is something that I put a lot on with healthy masculinity. I can't help you over there, dude. But I almost feel like with you representing your country here, that Indonesia is a really cucked pussy place. It's because you're my only exposure to the culture. Like I get the impression your men are really, really weak in your culture. And am I wrong? Just with what you're describing, like they're basically borderline women. Because I don't know anything about Indonesia. But there's a lot of just completely feminine mindset here. Um, I don't know if that's representative of your culture. That's why I can't help you. Like, I don't know, is this representative of your country and culture as a whole? So that's why I don't know how to help you, Limitless. You know, um, right, right. And keep in mind, I'm known for this sort of mindset. But this is again, there's a cultural context to this. So we come over to upbringing and culture and way of life. I was raised to be that way. Again, dad's family are all Slavic immigrants. Mom, then we have my mom's family. So I grew up in a Texas culture, in a very conservative Texas culture. My grandpa helped raise me a lot while my dad was on the road. My mom's side, he was a World War II veteran, businessman, world travel Olympian. Um, and so a lot of those World War II veterans, that was his circle. These are men who influenced me as a child. So think Texas World War II veterans were my primary masculine influences growing up. I'm gonna have a slightly different worldview, right? Hmm. Right. I mean, generally, I do see what you mean, Connor. There was kind of definitely a mix there. There were a lot of men that I met in the UK who were definitely, I would describe them as men's men, but there were a lot of boys who were worried about silly stuff like their face creams, and I can't do this. I just can't. Um, that's why I don't get the whole looks maxing thing. It's like, are you dude serious? What are you doing? You guys are worried about your face cream and your eyebrows. I can't. I once visited a girl in Birmingham. That was great fun. Crazy girls there. I've been through Birmingham once. I did a powerlifting meet in Birmingham. Assuming you mean Birmingham, UK, not in the US. It's bad to take care of your skin. Like, I mean, yeah, you should bathe, dude. I shower twice a day. I use soap, right? I wash my skin. But I mean, if you're putting frou-frou face creams on and plucking your eyebrows, I'm just saying. I've lived in the Midlands too. Peppermint is a mixed bag. Northern England is is no mercy masculinity, right? Jacob said UK's been disarmed. We can't even carry pepper spray. I think this is a lot about the man, right? I mean, as a culture, you've allowed it to happen, and I think that's the problem, you know. Right. So do you have a code of honor limitless? I already know the answer to this because this is when we talk about healthy masculinity. This is the defining characteristic between a boy and a man. The development of your code of honor. Right. Oh man. Right, exactly. So do you see kind of the point here? Limitless, stop caring what other people think. If you want to shave, do it. If not, stop caring what people's opinions. Yeah, you're continually seeking validation from other people, man. Are they paying you? The only validation I want from somebody else is are they paying me? That's the only validation I care about. All right. I can put a business number. All right. Stop caring. Are they paying your bills? Then why do you care? So Steve says, I saw a video recently on an English World War II vet saying the sacrifice wasn't worth it, seeing what his country has become based, but also makes me very sad for him and the other vets, right? Connor said, limitless, don't seek validation from others. Exactly. Yeah, stop seeking validation. All right. All right, let's come back over to you guys. Don't seek validation from the chat. Exactly. Peppermint said, Josephus, a famous historian, once said that if the soldiers who stormed the beaches of Normandy knew what would happen, they would not advance another 200 yards, right? Yeah. Mm. All right. Oh, man. Right. But I can definitely see that in the UK situation, right? Because the culture that they were protecting is largely gone, right? It's largely gone. And I don't know what to tell you guys in the UK. And that's the reality is, I know I get a lot of Brits in here, but by and large, most of my audience is American. Hey, Jacob, you already know the answer to that question. That was definitely a reason I had to get out of there. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Right. I'm like, no. But at the end of the day, most of my audience is American, like by and large. I do get that for some reason my live streams get a lot of Brits. A lot of Brits. But I'm a pretty staunch nationalist. If you guys haven't figured it out, I am very much an American nationalist, like in terms of my own viewpoints. So I can't worry about the rest of the world. The US right now, we really have to focus on fixing our cultural and economic and legal problems. Like we have to, you know. All right. Hmm. All right. Okay, let's come back over here. Hmm. Let's come back over. I'm going to skip some of that. The problem is also election system in the UK is quite flawed if the winner take all system really makes it difficult for the party to gain much power, right? On the other hand, it also gives great stability. All right. Beyond belief is convert Kapow limitless. No, we can't. You can't just Kapow limitless. All right. Labor and conservatives here, they are pretty much two sides of the same coin, right? Hmm. I think that's the problem you have with two-party systems. The issue is, though, is of course those parties change internally. So that's something that's interesting here, within the U.S. So we had a relatively large populist movement slide in and shift the GOP um, into a more favorable position with mainstream America. All right. Mm, yeah. Right. And that's what's truly interesting. With the U.S. politics on that. We see the rest of the world acts like the whole MAGA thing was some extreme internal movement, and it wasn't. That was middle America jumping in and shifting the Republican Party to where the Republican Party itself shifted towards America, mainstream America. And again, let me be clear for people who don't live in my country, don't understand. It didn't go more extreme. It shifted towards what the majority of the population believes in. Hey, Connor, no, I mean, every party has always been for establishment elite. There's been massive shifts in all these parties over and over and over. There was definitely a time when it was all just about big business, but I mean, yeah, you can't really pin something like that into the right. That thought process doesn't work in American politics. You're approaching that question from a very British mindset, right? And I agree, Lars, and I agree. And you end up having everything into an A and B column, and I think that's a problem. And I agree that's a problem because it doesn't allow for any diversity of thinking, and it locks you into an ideology, unfortunately, like a 10 commandments. These are the rules. And that's a problem with two-party systems. And I agree that's one of the fundamental problems. The problem is once you're locked into a two-party, it is absurdly difficult for a third party to get any traction. And they almost have to run off of fringe ideas to even get 3% of the vote. It's always the Libertarian Party or the Green Party or something, right? And the problem is like the Libertarian Party sounds just completely nuts. They're not even true libertarianism. They're a weird, almost anarchy ideology with stuff that clearly can't work. So they have to be internal shifts, and that's what you saw. And that's the thing, everyone else around and all the media spins it as this horrible, evil thing, with the right. Beyond, I'm not necessarily strict. Salt's a very complicated topic. I don't feel that I should be giving any hard rules on salt. There's so much nuance to the salt intake. I don't feel like making any official statements on salt under my professional name. Is that fair? Due to the individual nature of salt intake and needs for athletes and people with medical conditions, I would rather not establish any rules under the Jason Blaha name for salt intake. I feel it would be an intellectually dishonest position and potentially harmful to have an official position. And if I say it in the stream, that all of a sudden becomes an official position. I definitely remember Ross Perot. He tried as a billionaire, still didn't make much impact. So, but what you see is internal shifts within those parties. And that's exactly what we've seen with the GOP. We had a whole populist movement within it to where middle America kind of re-infiltrated and said, this is what we want. And then they kind of picked Trump as a populist type figurehead for that. And what people don't understand, because you don't know people in real life, like, so people who are not part of any real life conservative circles, they don't know a lot of Americans. They don't understand that a lot of the things that people dislike about Trump, the diehard followers love. Let me be clear on that. And that's what your people aren't understanding. And the problem is it's not like it's a few people. It's an enormous number of people. So, and I'm not saying I necessarily always agree with that, but I'm giving you the observation as someone who talks in these circles. A lot of people out here are like, oh, he's so indignant, or the way his sound bites. You do understand his diehard followers love that. They adore it because they're sick of the previous and they're sick of the BS. They're like, man, he just calls it like it is and he doesn't care who he offends, and he's bold and he trolls people. All right. So you have to be aware a lot of his diehard followers like this. And there's not just a couple thousand of them, there are millions of them. So we've seen a complete shift. Bocephus. So here's the thing when it comes to term limits, there's a degree of truth to that, but by that same token, the other push to, oh, we need to get really tons of young people in. That's also how you get far left idealistic people into too many positions who don't have the life experience to know better. So this gets complicated. Although I do tend to agree with term limits. All right. So I sold every meal I'm cutting, but under guidance for a specific cut. I think consultations sound like a very divided politics. Yeah, he trolls me before. I prefer competence over entertainment and a world leader. Right? And I tend to agree. All right. So, but you set the banter aside. Was he effective in his leadership in his first term? Did he get things done effectively to the satisfaction of Americans? Why do you think he got reelected? Right. I think boring politics is a good thing. It's not meant to be. All right. I think it was good for the economy, quite divisive, but economically he did well. And militarily he did well with our conflicts. Yeah. Uh, hey, Rufio, if you will still make you, I asked you the other day though to please message me on a social media so I could discuss those things. I didn't want that to turn into the chat. I don't think that you fully understand my list of things, and that's part of the problem. Like you don't understand why I went there. I think you legitimately don't understand why I went there, and that's fair. But I don't know for a fact I'm in the wrong. The fact that certain things you said still makes me question if you're not one of my stalkers, and I'm saying that straight up. You hit too many key points. Yeah, exactly. I think you need to chat with me off stream. I think that's fair. All right. All right. Yeah, I don't think it's a medium for this. All right. My office has a lot of candy and it's hard to just, I'm so undisciplined. I don't know how to help you there, does it? You're going to have to create some sort of alternative for yourself. Hey, Rufio, did you also pimp a specific company and product? Hey, Rufio, did you pimp in my stream a specific company and product also that you know is a very personal thing to me? Yeah. All right. I think you have held a grudge too, like Rufio. I kept mine 20 bars max. Men argue sometimes it's not that deep. Exactly. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that's too long. I'm just saying, man. Anyone who pimps Cybation is automatically suspect. Right? Considering that's the company that funded the stalking of my family, right? And they don't make any good products. Yeah. Connor. Let's see. Oh. Yep, exactly. Connor's gotten arguments and they're all good now, man. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, instead of actually, like I asked him to do originally, to go to me in private, which he still didn't do, he comes back in the stream behaving like this to make it um, a show instead of taking it to me in private. I'm arguing with Connor, but he forgot about it and tried to even make a war cheat. Hmm. I think I've argued with most people in here, right? I mean, men argue, men butt heads. You rather call me out? Who the fuck do you think you are? Rufio, who in the fuck do you think you are? Get the fuck out of my chat. I'll make it real easy for you, motherfucker. Get out of here. Call me out in public. Fuck you. How'd you like that? I'm gonna go get some coffee. All right. And we're back with a fresh cup of coffee. That sounds like somebody, that's a very feminine energy. That's a feminine energy. I'm not going to go talk to you in private. It's like, guys, sorry, man. Men don't behave like that. You don't act like, no man would act like that in real life. I think that's a woman behind the screen. Just saying, guys. That's definitely not masculine energy. Next, let's get over to some real topics. All right. Like, bro, there's the number of people who want to call me out in public. Why don't you go make a hate video like everybody else? There's people who call me out who get 1 million views, man. Call me out in public. Get out of my stream. You're in my house, man. Get out. Next. Move on. I'm not going to speak of it again. Just another troll. And again, I knew it. I knew it. My spidey sense been tingling for months. I was right. And the cibation statement proved it the other day. All right. You know. And that's its own topic too. When people bring up some of these companies, and I think people need to understand. I took the stuff with cibation personally, right? Mike McCandless, who owned it at the time too. Like, I take that personally, man. Like, dude, you took your company's proceeds and literally paid people to stalk me and my family. And their products are all garbage. They're all useless. They spent 6 figures harassing me. So when a person's over here saying they give their money to cibation and they buy their products, maybe they don't intend to have caused those problems, but you're funding that behavior. Like, if they didn't have customers, they wouldn't have had money to do that. Because of the branched chain amino acid thing, Jacob. Keep in mind, man, there were no studies debunking BCAAs yet. And I made that statement about Lane. I got sued for calling out Lane's doctoral work on branched chain amino acids. I got sued over it. Cibation ponied some of the court money. Why would they do that? What's their number one selling product? It was Extends, their BCAA product. They were making millions of dollars on it. And I, at the time, fairly famous fitness YouTuber, said, hey, the research in favor of this is biased. Do you understand from their perspective how devastating that is? And especially when they knew their product probably didn't work. Because all these meta-analysis later came out, right? Keep in mind, meta-analysis. You don't make and sell a product that meta-analysis comes out later, and when you have a PhD in your corner, Lane being a PhD, helping them. See where we're going with this? You don't do that and not know that your product probably doesn't work. Let's be clear. Anybody disagree with that? You don't develop a product and have someone working on their PhD involved with the science side and not know your product probably doesn't really work. Especially when all the hard data and meta-analysis come out and say, yeah, it does nothing. Hey, Jacob, it was a completely empty victory. Completely empty victory on being vindicated. I didn't feel vindicated, man. I got sued. I got my name run through the mud. My business was hurt. My reputation was hurt. And none of that was ever undone. Because I was never vindicated. None of the damage was undone. Nobody in the world apologized. I got no vindication. All I got was confirmation that I already knew I was right. Yeah. Keep in mind, it never ended. So we can say vindication, but it never went away. Meaning all the collateral damage from that is still there. you countersue? Limitless, no offense, but do I strike you as an extremely wealthy millionaire with that sort of money? You know, dude, I'm not balling that hard. No, dude. Right? Their hate campaign impacted my financial potential online and my main business indefinitely. Like they hurt me financially. Um, I've had to be very creative to come back from that and get money up. Uh, no, but yeah. So that's there's no countersuit. I don't know. Did you got $1 million for me to fund it? Like, and then where do I even countersue? You can't countersue in that country. They don't have any assets. So they sued me while I was abroad. They don't have any assets in that country. And Civation didn't sue me. Lane sued me directly. He doesn't have any property there or income in that country. There is no, what would we countersue? So you give a lawyer 200 grand and you get a piece of paper that says you won and you don't get any of your money back. Yeah, dude, I'm not balling that hard. Yeah, there are also multiple entities. I'm just one person, dude. This is a major corporation and then other subsidiaries, other people involved. I'm just one guy. Dude, they came at me hard. They spent a lot of money. Right. Hey, Desert, why do you guys drop hypotheticals like that? I mean, no offense intended, but there's not a college football team on the face of the earth that would do that. But we'd probably do like a conjugate for them. I think it's clear we just do conjugate. Right. I need to use the restroom. I'll be back. Then I'll explain the problem with your question. I know guys love to answer that, but college football, university football teams have a certain requirement for strength coaches. They have a formal, specific requirement that I do not meet and have no interest in meeting. That even if I were to attempt to undertake today, I still couldn't have their criteria in 3 years. I could spend 3 years of my life trying to reach the criteria that they want, and that's not enough time. It cannot be done. So that's kind of a silly hypothetical. They want you to have a CSCS. No, it's not lucrative enough to justify it. Like I would make less money than I make on a good year on social media. So I would have to invest 5 years of my life into it to make less money. But I need a restroom. All right. All right. I thought you guys called it the loo. We're going to go to the loo, mate. Off to the bowl. All right. I I don't think LSU make that at all. Hey, Desert, but do you not understand the time investment, right? Hey, Desert, why don't you just go get a PhD? Do you know that medical doctors make a lot of money? Exactly, Jacob. I think you're the best spotlight for me, that people will carry a personal vendetta than spread lies, which people who don't know you will trust completely and hate someone they don't even know. Exactly. LSU strength and conditioning coach. Let's actually see if we can get any info. Salary. LSU's head strength and conditioning. That's the head coach, right? They're making that sort of money. But here's the thing: just because you're a strength coach doesn't mean they're giving you that. So it's not the accumulated knowledge; it's the specific requirements. Right. All right. So, yeah, Desert, I don't think you fully understand what you were asking. So, generally speaking, they want you to have a working knowledge of football and stuff too. I'd have to learn the rules of football. I actually don't know the rules to American football, for example. I don't really follow the sport. And so keep in mind the competition for those positions. Now, no, Connor, it's you have to get a CSCS. So if you understand this, so do you understand how ludicrous the point is? So essentially, you want me to go get a master's degree, and then you want me to complete a 1-year certification program. So that I can teach people how to lift weights. Right. So again, you guys are talking about a very specialized niche, which again, specifically for football teams, right? Do you know how many CSCSs there are who make less than six figures? I know about 10 personally. Right. Yeah, that's a whole networking thing. Right. Looking back. I don't know. I didn't see Connor's vote for a Kapow. Oh, he might have Kapow. Did he Kapow on Rufio? Yeah. No, Rufio crossed the line with me, and I've dropped it on him on my own. Right. Yeah, he missed it. Yep. So, right. So, I mean, so that's kind of the point, Desert. I mean, I do see what you're saying. Hey, I could write a phenomenal weightlifting programming for a football team. The problem is I don't have connections. I don't know the rules to football. I don't follow football. I'm not like a football fan. I'm probably not on their hired list, even if I had the certifications. I'm just saying. Usually for major, serious, high level sports, they don't usually hire coaches um, who don't follow the sport. Just saying, guys. And I know as a Texan who has NFL family members, it sounds embarrassing. I don't actually know the rules to American football. I don't know how the score works. I don't know anything about the rules of the game. I don't really follow football. And I know that sounds shocking as a Texan for me to say that. And vertebrae is exactly how it works. So I have a first cousin who coaches and has coached a Super Bowl win. Right? And I can tell you he moved his way up. He played in the NFL for 2 teams, went and got his master's, then started coaching at very tiny, tiny schools and worked his way up to the NFL. Exactly. That's kind of the point. It doesn't make sense. So, Desert, I'm actually kind of insulted. Let's be realistic. You're basically insulting me. You're telling me to go from doing a successful business to becoming a high school teacher. You don't think that's kind of insulting? You're qualified to coach a local high school team. Really, dude. That's kind of insulting, man. I actually coached pretty serious lifters. I have plenty of state record holders. I've had national level competitors. You know what I mean, dude? Why are we talking about football? Why are we talking about high school football? That's insulting, dude. And it's not even my business. I'm just saying, dude, think that through for a moment. I still don't know the rules to football. Coach your business, right? Unless I can sleep 4 hours after double scooping pre-workout, some of us are built different. Interesting. It's like referees, you don't just walk into a college yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I'm not going to compound him for it, but I don't think David understands that he wants me to have a complete career change. Yeah. Complete career change. I think you should change your entire business model. Okay, fair enough, Desert. No, dude, I don't want to scale my business down and be broke and go coach high school football teams in a sport that I don't follow. Is that fair? I don't want to take a pay cut to go start a new business and teach high school kids in the weight room. Exactly. I don't know. Everyone wants me to change my career. There was, you should go do this. You should start a gaming stream. You should. It's like, why? Why do you guys hate what I do? Why is everyone so bothered by my business model that they need me to change it? Yeah, it's a very specific niche, and he's right. Those guys have a huge amount of involvement, and they love the sport. Except that I don't play video games. Hey, Max, but I don't play video games. Do you see the problem? I don't actually play video games. And the games that people stream, when I played, I suck. It would just be me losing over and over. I don't think people are going to pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars to watch me lose 20 games of Call of Duty in a row. I'm just saying, I don't see that being lucrative. I really, really suck bad at games like that. I'm talking, I'm a scrub tier at that type of video game. You would make fun of me. Right? So I just don't see myself making $1 million losing 20 games of Call of Duty in a row. You know what I mean, dude? Yeah. I never watched American football in my life, never will. I watch or GTA. Right, I'm just saying, guys. Yeah. I don't see me losing Call of Duty all day, being a lucrative business career, you know. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe someone would pay me $1 million to watch me lose 20 games of Call of Duty in a row. And Desert, I think the problem is, does the high school football programs need to be fixed? Like, why do I need to be involved? And how do you know I don't already successfully do that? I think you've missed the point. You are aware a lot of my followers on social media who come through and post stuff are coaches for this stuff. So haven't I already done this? Do you not see baseball and football and other coaches on my followers list already on social media who follow my work? I mean, I have strength coaches from a pretty wide variety of places who follow my stuff and have for a decade or more. I chat with some who I know for a fact coach this stuff. This is their jobs. I've even had a vlogger who was a high school strength coach, right? Yeah, we should best stay in our lanes, you know. Stick to gaming once my main responsibility to complete gym work. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Make a donor goal that's reasonable. But Max, why would anyone want to watch me play video games? You see the point? Right, being a strength coach is more than simple teaching people how to lift weights. It's about relationships and a good ones, having a gift on connecting with people, and they've got to relate to you, man. I honestly, I don't see a football team relating to me, given that I don't follow the sport. You know, I don't see that working out too well. Like, I literally don't know the rules to the game. Yeah, yeah, the video game thing is so random. Yeah, I think it, Peppermint. I think it shows the video game addiction problem. It highlights my point about the addictive nature of video games and problem being problematic for men. You know, the fact that so many, because it's not just Max in here, it's tons of people do this. It's a really common one in their mind. Because I have an outreach, I must obviously go to streaming video games. You know, exactly. um, if anything, it shows that video games, right? But I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying I should probably be pretty good at these video games, you know. I'm just saying I don't think people would want to watch me lose over and over. I just can't see that being a viable business model. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand how video game streaming works, but I would assume most of the people who are streaming video games and making money at it are at least decent at the game. Right. I don't think you guys understand how bad I suck at FPS games. Like, it's embarrassingly bad. You know, because I've played them in the past with some of my friends and stuff, and I lost all the time. You know, it's pretty. It's just that's definitely was not my niche. Right? So instead, how about I make fitness and lifting content and run a fitness and lifting Facebook page and then tell jokes? How about we do that and then we strength coach? I think this is way more viable. Right. I think that's way more viable. But I don't actually enjoy video gaming. Hey, Lars, I actually don't even find gaming fun anymore. So that's the problem too. It would be me bitching about how boring and silly the game is, you know, which is why it's really a comical idea. You know what's really funny to me though, guys? What's really funny is that people on the internet don't ever hit the other one. I've had people in real life point out I do have something else that with a little bit of work would be a completely viable online business thing. And what's interesting, none of my followers online realize it. There's a hint in the screen. Video games. Guys, I play the freaking guitar. If I were to actually really get my skills up and spend the time, I don't have the time dedication trying to get my other businesses. That would be a totally viable side project that would make decent money actually on just videos and stuff. I've had people in real life who've asked, like I met a guy sometime back. He was with another circle, came through. He wanted to hear me play, and I played. And he plays guitar and does stuff. He's like, "Wow, you're actually really good." He's like, and he saw my other stuff. He's like, "Why don't you do a guitar thing online too?" He's like, "You're actually really good." I'm like, "I don't think I'm that good." He's like, "No, dude, you're better than you realize." People always tell me this in person. Um, I haven't had the time to level my skill up because I took 20 years off. I haven't invested the time again that I need to be where I want to be. But that's a completely viable secondary thing if I wanted to do something. And I actually enjoy it. Do you know any bros who've taken tests on a plane without a script? I am absolutely not giving you advice on that in a public stream. Charlie, let me be clear. I am not giving you advice on how to commit felonies on my YouTube live stream next. Um, you know, no, Charlie's not new. So my advice to everyone in the live stream, do not take drugs on a plane. That's my official public stance. Do not do it. All right. All right. Testosterone also to so mid range. Yeah, they're not going to give you a script, Macy, unless you go through a private. A standard doctor is not giving you a script, homie. A longevity clinic might top you up for out of pocket. Your insurance isn't going to cover it though. My public stance, evil sandwiches all the way. Charlie took drugs on the plane. Look how it turned out for him. For all the Lost fans out there, right? Lost was a good show. I liked Lost. I liked it. Mm. Well, that was a huge Kate man, right? I didn't make it all the way to the end of Lost, and a lot of people were disappointed with the end I heard, but it sounded fine to me. But doesn't that happen a lot, Lars? So this happened in multiple shows. that I really like. Some of my absolute favorite TV shows. Didn't we see this? Man, now let's get into some conversations. Oh man. I can tell you my top 2 favorite TV shows of all time. I can tell you my top 3. Okay? Game of Thrones, Battlestar Galactica, True Blood. They all had at least one horrible season deeper in. All right. I think most of us were very frustrated with the final season of Game of Thrones, especially if we read the books. I read the books. You know, I would argue though Game of Thrones is quite possibly the best TV show of our time. I did see The Wire. I don't have time to really to watch all these shows right now. I've seen Breaking Bad. I like Breaking Bad. I'm not putting it in my top 3. Do I think it was a great show? Yes. Right. What was the Saul show? I watched that too with someone. Because you do other stuff while you're watching TV shows. When's the last time you cuddled up with your woman or had sex with your woman while playing a video game? When's the last time you got other work done while playing a video game? In other words, you can multitask while watching shows. When a video game, it's your entire time sink. Good job, Ryan. Ryan's getting a killer workout. Client Ryan in here. But I don't have time to watch TV shows right now either, to be fair. At this point, getting my stuff done and getting my businesses and other stuff I don't have time for TV shows right now. Personally, now that you bring it up beyond. But usually you can multitask. But when I've watched stuff, I tend to do other stuff. You're either cuddling with a woman. I'd say that's most of it, right? I would say almost every one of those shows, I watched them with a woman. I didn't watch that show sitting there by myself. Okay. When you're self-employed, you have to be on top of your game all the time, right? So let me be clear. All those shows I listed, I've watched those entire shows all the way through, sitting or laying next to a woman the whole time. Every single one of them. So, hey, Desert, I don't think my lifestyle would look anything like it does living in another country. So we don't need to put Russia. Let's just say a foreign country. The answer is clearly and obviously no. All right. Right. Verdict Breaker says, I work in medicine and my career is all consuming, but I have to take time to get my mind off the struggles of people going through it in real life and disappear into a fantasy land like Lost. There you go. I can see that. All right. It's a little slower than I'd like. Same reason I'm here now. Yeah. And for me, this is all business. Right. I am on the clock. I am multitasking, doing social media posts that pay me money. I'm in here in a live stream that gets ads, gets followers, gets donations, gets me clients. I get clients and consultations out of these. So, like even now, guys, this is business. This is part of my business, man, chatting with you guys. Best sitcom series. I watched some of those growing up. I watched Married with Children when younger. I don't know that I have a best one. So I get a couple of those other posts done. Many of us are, a lot of people in here multitasking. A lot of the guys are in here at work doing this. Other personal, right? But speaking of shows getting ruined, shows can be fantastic, right? No, I didn't watch Mr. Bean. Someone was going to pay me to do it, but because I don't have time to watch shows, unless someone was really going to pay me the $100, I'm not doing it. But as far as, because it just doesn't look interesting to me, and I just don't have the time. So for me to sit down and actually watch a show, like it's almost that, look, we got to do consultation level time for this. It just doesn't look interesting. It's just a dude with a weird face. I don't understand. But let's take some of those really good shows, right? Some of my 3 favorite shows, and so I think this is comparable with the idea with Lost and some of this stuff, as far as in-depth storyline. Obviously, Game of Thrones, the final season was like, what did they just do to this show? There were problems, and Bran being made king. Come on, that's the only thing that makes sense. No, it didn't make sense. It was stupid. Should have been Jon Snow. Anyone who hasn't seen is now pissed at me. Oh my God, we just discussed the final season, the closing episode. Everyone who hasn't seen the show is now going to hate me when they watch it later. Jon Snow should have been king. Do we all agree? Anybody disagree with that who likes Game of Thrones? Jon Snow, he should have been king. All right. Right. But Jon Snow knows nothing, so of course he can't be king. He knows nothing. So, yeah. But it was arguably, I would say, the best TV show of my lifetime. Okay, best TV show of my lifetime. All right, my number 2, Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. Chari was the best kid. Oh Lord. Have you seen so many people cheer when someone dies a horrible death? When Joffrey died. All right, Battlestar Galactica, the first 2 seasons, the original miniseries with it, the pilot miniseries that blew up and really launched the show. The first 2 seasons. No, the female Starbuck, I think, was fine. It worked. But I get what you're saying. I saw the original show too as a kid and liked it. So I get what you're saying. Lars, we're from that generation. We know the OG show. The first 2 seasons, very close second to Game of Thrones. That first 2 seasons, the intensity and the plot lines of the show, especially that season 1. The season 1 is just it's an adrenaline, like you're on the edge of your seat the whole first season. I love the Mandalorian too. Mandalorian's amazing. True. I've got to put Mandalorian as number 3. It's gonna unseat True Blood. Yeah. So Lars, season 3 was a trash dumpster for Battlestar Galactica. Season 3, trash dumpster. Right? So the next gen, I grew up with that. So the whole time the Next Generation was going, I was watching it real time every week when it was on the air. So I was a fan. And I didn't see Prison Break. I don't have time to watch any shows at the moment at all. I simply do not have the time. Unless I took all my live stream time and just posted on Facebook instead while watching the show. So, the back over Game of Thrones, season 3, trash dumpster. Now, I liked the ending. I'm one of I'm one of the Battlestar Galactica fans. I thought the first 2 seasons were probably some of the best TV show of all time ever. It's going to be hard to top that. That first 2 seasons, there's very few competing with it. Mandalorian, maybe. And that's only a maybe. Can compete with it. Season 3, trash dumpster. I loved the ending. Most people hated the ending of Battlestar Galactica. It's a 50-50. I loved the ending. The final episode of the show. Loved it. Lost number 2. So he's got Lost as number 1. Okay. I didn't see Blacklist. Yeah, Breaking Bad's a different genre. Cobra Kai was okay. I thought it was okay. I did catch that. I have not really watched any shows this year. I've only watched a couple shows this year. They were all while laying in bed, falling asleep. And they were all Star Wars stuff, or I watched Wednesday. I also watched Agatha all along. But I watched a bunch of the Star Wars stuff. That's been it. That's the only stuff I've seen this year. I forgot to renew my Disney Plus. I changed cards. So it expired. I don't have it right now. I forgot to add something to payment to it. All right. True Blood, the season 3 was a travesty. Great show, but that witch season just had to go. Mandalorian had no bad seasons. So that's another reason why that could take that number 3 slot for me. Mandalorian, like it was just solid all the way through. All right. Plus, weapons are a part of my religion, so there is that. Oh man. Favorite movies, I could lose my man card here, but Sleepless in Seattle, I don't vaguely remember that. My favorite movies change a lot. My list of favorite movies could be 50 long. Magnum PI. I vaguely remember Magnum PI. Yeah, shows take too long. I just don't have time to watch shows. I find movies too hard to make it. They're too short. I can't get involved easily anymore. All my favorite movies were because I watched them with friends or loved ones for the experience. So I think that's a valid point for me. Almost all my favorite movies, in many cases, is because they were social experiences. Right. So like some movies that I love is I watched them with bros of mine and stuff at the theater. So like Saving Private Ryan, The Big Lebowski, those are movies I went and saw with the homies, some of my closest friends, still to this day. We went and saw those movies as a group. I love all the Lord of the Rings movies though. I really liked the newer Hobbit ones too. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking. Snatch being a continuation of that. Snatch was good. I saw Snatch in the theater. Actually, we went and saw that one in the theater. Uh, One movie that was I kind of laughed though, but I went and saw it at Halloween with my one of my exes though. Um, it was the Babadook. Saw that in the theater. Where were we going with the other movie? So the Lord of the Rings movies. I've been told I look like Jason Statham. Some of my sister's friends said that, and she's like running them away from me. It's hilarious. Um, so I've heard that in real life before. It's kind of comical. Your brother looks kind of like Jason Statham. No. My sister gets pissed, and then her friends used to hit on me. Um, but I digress. So the Lord of the Rings movies. The reason I'm a massive fantasy nerd. I mean, the Warhammer stuff alone should tell you that. I have read hundreds and hundreds of fantasy novels. Massive fantasy fan. Everyone who reads fantasy books, what's our problem with fantasy movies? They're horrifically bad. As a genre, fantasy movies are so horrifically bad and poorly written and acted that they are complete cringe. And so, if you love fantasy novels, even the adaptations, you cringe every time you see a fantasy movie. The Lord of the Rings movies were the first time I loved Piers Anthony. I have over 100 Piers Anthony novels, Robbie. I have over 100 Piers Anthony novels, and I've read every one of them. I've had some of them well over 30 years. Every time, no matter how many times we've seen it, if we walk by TV and Rocky 2 is on, we stop and watch it. Yeah, I think there's a degree of truth to that. All right. So, yeah, I'm a big Piers Anthony fan. I love the Zant series. Even though I like serious fantasy, I love the Zant series. Some of his Immortal stuff is good too. Like For Love of Evil, I picked that one up at one point as a teenager. I'm like, holy shit, this is good. That was good. Phased Out was good. But back over to the point, Lord of the Rings movies. And in Game of Thrones, we actually had a fantasy show of just amazing, amazing quality. If you grew up loving fantasy literature like I did, quite frankly, movies and TV shows were a disappointment, right? They're like written by 10-year-olds or something. But Game of Thrones, right? Yeah, the incarnations of immortality. So For Love of Evil, I think, is the only one I read from that series, and it was great. I loved Terry Brooks growing up, and he evolved a lot. I've read about 30. I have a massive Terry Brooks collection too. I felt like his stuff got a lot better later in life. His early work I liked it as a when I was 12, but it was really not that great. But then he really came into his own as a writer. Running with the Demons was, I think that's what it's called. Fantastic. Yoda movie, Blood and Guts. Right? But no, dude, Piers Anthony is a writer. I love Piers Anthony. And what's crazy was how prolific he was. How do you write that many novels? And they're all clearly written by him. They're all his style. Yep, take care, Lars. Good creative. But the thing is, you take Piers Anthony, and he would release 3 different books in the same year from 3 different series. The dude is writing concurrent books and long-lasting series that have no overlap in the same years and kicking them out 6 months apart. Right? Do you know how crazy that is? Like Piers Anthony was just like a book factory. And that's what fascinated me growing up reading his stuff. It's like, how does this guy make this many books? And they're all clearly him. They're in his style. It's not like this is someone else, but it's like, who he's just paying. It's just book after book. And it's like, how did he release 3 different books in the same year from 3 completely series set in different entire universes and maintain those storylines? It was just all the time. Today is my last day as a grunt at my job. Tomorrow's converting to a career. Good stuff, Ryan. Is Piers Anthony still alive? He's 91 years old. He is still alive. Seriously? He's 91. My God, how many books has this man written? He's written over 400 novels. All right. Did you guys catch that number? He's 91 and he's written over 400 novels. I own over 100 of his novels. I own about 100 of them. Crazy. I gotta get coffee. All right, we're back. We're back. But, take the absurdity of Piers Anthony, because his Zant series, I loved his Zant series. I probably have 30 of them. Right? So you take the Zant series, right? One of the things that stood out, for those who don't know, Xanth is a whole fantasy world built around puns. It's all puns. All of it is puns. It's a whole planet, a universe built around puns, which is already insane. But it's fantastic. So in one of the storylines, they're at the Castle Ruda or whatever, and they need to go back in time. So they have this tapestry of a thing of this battle scene going back whatever number of couple generations back or 100 years ago or whatever. And so they use a spell to go through the tapestry, and the spider is caught on the edge of it, and it goes into the time thing through the tapestry with them. But because it's a spider and it scales to the size of the picture, this giant spider is now there back in time in history. And he ends up becoming, for the hero who goes through, the protagonist, he ends up becoming his steed. And it's now a spider that can communicate with him telepathically. And so this house spider from the castle goes back in time and becomes a major figure with them as a giant spider. And so going back through into its time and its costume there, he can still communicate with it when it shrunk down. And it's like, and he tells him there, he's like, well, I have to return to my family now. It's like, oh, and he explains to him, to my family, this has been a lifetime. He's like, we only spent whatever, a week or 2 weeks in time. He goes, but for the life of a spider, this was like 20 years. And so I have to return now to my family and tell them the story. And so this spider goes ridiculous. Oh, Harry Potter's okay, but it's hard for them to compete with Piers Anthony, man. Oh man. But it's so that is what you expect from a Piers Anthony novel, and you're like, okay, that's absurdly, ridiculously creative. He's got over 400 novels. Yeah. Keep in mind, these series don't overlap. So it's like you see the whole Xanth series. It's like 50 books. It's a whole universe built on puns and magic. But then he has completely other unrelated series that are way more gritty. So it's just, he kind of bounces back and forth through them. Yeah, then you have the incarnations of immortality and everything, which then takes place in Earth. And the For Love of Evil one, it's basically a guy becomes Satan, basically. Have you ever tried your hand at writing a fantasy novel? Yes, Charlie, I have. I always ended up being unhappy with them and tossing them aside. I've tried it about a dozen times and then was very unhappy 20, 30 pages in and just got rid of it. I've done this many times. Every few years, I sit down and do it again, basically. Yeah, I've read several of them, Game of Thrones books. First three. I read the first three. No, I didn't watch the John Bravo Larry Wheels video. I haven't had time. I could spend that same time chatting with my people. That's the thing to keep in mind when it comes to all these YouTube things. I could literally sit in a live stream and chat with you guys instead of doing that. I read the Hunger Games trilogy as a kid, watching movies, and was bitterly, it's oftentimes the case with shows. But I felt like the Game of Thrones show, did quite good in comparison. Oftentimes novels don't live up. The Lord of the Rings movies did a good job, though. Obviously, it's not a complete overlap. We'd rather discuss Trinaconda versus Cocaine Bear, to be honest. I agree. All right. John and I used to talk on the phone all the time way back in the day, but it's been many years. I did reach out to him not long ago. And he said he wanted to chat again, but he never got around to it, so I left it. Not a big deal. All right. Yeah, Game of Thrones did great. Give me a second here, guys. I got to make some posts. I got to get something else to hit hard on Facebook. I've had a couple things hit hard. I need to have something else new today. And I do it by accident. Like it's so, I don't know what's going to just take off and get 1,000 likes or not. It's so random sometimes. Sometimes you just got to let it happen. I just get an idea and out of nowhere, I see something, whatever, make a post and it just explodes. And it'll be stuff I don't expect. It's really weird. Like the most viral thing I've had in the last week was my Chris Jericho post. Like, okay, I did not expect that to explode like that, but it did. And then my post about testosterone. Yeah, a couple days ago did phenomenally well. Like you got to reach at like 50,000 reach. So 50,000 people saw the post and it got a ton of engagements. I don't know. Coach reported drama, right? The Donald Trump BBC saga might be a good one. Peppermint. Was it Strap on Destiny? These funny nicknames. Right? Pepper, I like when he called out Peg Watson. Test life is the best life. Yeah. Oh, my nicknames. To be fair, though, guys, to be fair, and I have to give credit where credit is due. I made most of the nicknames. I did not make up Strap on Destiny. My ex-girlfriend came up with that one. Of course, you say stupid stuff like that, and then you'll get weird haters and be like, "So did you?" No, she was pretty vanilla, actually. She wasn't like that. Surprisingly enough, right? Yeah, Trump might sue the BBC. Are you talking about Cubby and Frenchie? Yeah, yeah. You can take the yeah. But the others, Cubby and Frenchie, I made that up. Junkie Ward, I made that up. Teddy 2 times, that's all mine. Colin Cowley, Muscle the Booty Warrior, that was all mine. Mycotrend. No, I didn't make up Mycotrend. Somebody else was saying that years ago. Ian McStrothers. I'm not sure if I came up with that one. No, I think the Hodge twins came up with that. They might have. It might have been me, but I think it was the Hodge twins. To be fair, Ian McStrothers, man. Right? Good old Ian McStrothers. Oh, that one did good too. My Brittany Grimner one is doing okay. It's doing okay. It's not bad, actually. So that's driving a little traffic. Creates argument. It creates dialogue. So those have been my three big ones this week. The Brittany Grimner one, Chris Jericho, and then my testosterone post did really, really, really well. That blew up. Eric Schwanevsky, that was me. I've never heard the Natty King thing for Fiona. All right. Did you christen? That was me. That was completely me. Yeah. I am completely 100% to blame for calling Callie Muscle the booty warrior. I am the originator of that one. Good old Callie Muscle, Chucky. Good old Chucky Basher. Yeah, good old Chuck Basher. Is it all members posting right now? Is this a members only chat for like the last 10 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, the booty warrior. It's so it matches. And it's funny because all this stuff came out later. So you guys got to remember, people used to always ask him about the whole prison sex thing, like nonstop. And then he remember him saying, man, why are you guys so obsessed with this? And then all that Chuck Basher stuff came out. Was he the top? Oh man, David. David, do we want to go off the rumors or do we have confirmation? The stories that were coming back out were supposedly that he was a bottle mostly. Now, I don't know if that's true. Those were the rumors that were circulating at the time that people who supposedly knew him in prison were saying. But that is really hearsay. Like, we don't know that that's the case. Yeah. Kelly was a bum. Where's y'all tampon boys? Ha ha. All right. But let's think about that for a minute. This is what truly fascinates me. So can we talk about this for a moment? This is what fascinates me as someone who has caught so much hell online and so much hate. How do these people who are just legitimately bad people not catch the level of hate? Like, I get that people hear certain stuff where I've said things people didn't like, right? I totally get that. I get that. Like, people are allowed to have opinions. There are a lot of people. There are people who have been offended by things I said and did. I get that. Let me be clear on that. I have said things that offended plenty of people out there over the years. Okay, let me be clear. I'm not saying I didn't, and I'm not saying people don't have a right to be offended by anything they ever want to be offended by. Right? You have a right to be offended by whatever. It's fine. How does someone like Callie Muscle become that famous and not catch the level of hate? Someone who is truly, I'm not saying, we're not talking about, oh, you said a few things offensive. I get it. I've offended people, but I've never actually done anything that's truly bad in the real world by normal standards, right? By normal people standards, I've never done anything truly bad beyond anabolics. Like, if we take anabolics out of the mix, right? If you take that out of the equation, and we're in the fitness world, guys, I've never done anything in the real world that most people would say, well, is a bad thing, unless it involves sleeping with women or steroids, right? So take those things out. I have no history of having done anything actually bad by normal standards. I've never assaulted anybody. I've never stolen. So let's example. I've never assaulted someone other than a self-defense type fighting situation. I've never stolen anything. I've never, so on and so forth. Right. I stole a candy bar as a kid one time and I got in trouble for it. Let me take that back. I stole a candy bar. I did get in trouble for it, as a kid one time. So I lied. I apologize. I did steal a Snickers bar and I got spanked and had to go take it back up to the guy. So, but realistically, but then guys like Callie, he literally gets up and brags about selling cocaine and robbing people. He did hard prison time, all these other scams. And it's like you look at that and go, so where's why don't we see a hate campaign for people who are truly bad, legitimately bad human beings who've really done harmful stuff? I mean, Ian's going to catch hell, right? I mean, well, and let's be clear, it's not like these are false accusations. Callie Muscle did hard time, Like this is a person who objectively, as a society, we can all look at this and say, this is a bad person. And not only bad, he's not repentant of it. Okay. Because I think most people would look at someone and say, well, you committed some armed robbery and stuff. And, but then he gets out and he talks about forgiveness and Jesus and he becomes this church guy and changes his ways or something, that would be different. But he's come out bragging about it. Like he still brags about it, so it's like you look at this and go, why do we not see the same, just like a hate? Like why doesn't he have a circle of haters and stalkers to the degree that I have, given that he is a truly, legitimately, objectively bad person by almost everybody's standards and literally brags about evil deeds? Where's the hate? Like I don't understand it. Now, to be fair, Peg Watson is catching flack, so I am wrong in that regard. So I will say it's a valid point. I feel like that is shifting more. Peg Watson is catching flack, and rightly so. I mean, so we could come over and say, "Yeah, dude, you're a pretty bad person." Like he's done bad stuff to people. He obviously looks like he has a criminal history. He assaulted and beat a dude out on camera. Like we have stuff where you're like, "Yeah, dude, this is pretty bad," So to be fair, we are seeing some of that, right? We are seeing some of that. And we got Ryan hitting all these PRs on his accessory work. She's sending me all this stuff. Ryan, you still in the chat? No. He's sending me all his lists right now. It's interesting. It's just interesting how this stuff works. And to me, and it's not me doing a woe is me, but I'm just like, okay, so I've been through this. So then I look at it and go, why don't really bad people, are they not catching the same level of heat? I would just think that they would. Right. I would think that there would be a whole group of people dedicating their life to hating Callie Muscle, given the things he's done and with the following. Yeah, that's true. The trolls just said about something with Mafia. But to be fair, yeah, Wes Watson is catching flack. He is catching legitimate flack, right? Like that is actually coming in pretty hard. But at this point, Connor, it is really, there's like 3 key players in my situation, and if those 3 key players are gone, pretty much my whole hate campaign is gone. I've narrowed it down to 3 to 4 people. That if they're out of the equation, all my troll problems are essentially gone. you know. Yes, we're coming up on year 11 now. Yep, year 11. Yet it's still a 7-day-a-week thing for me on the internet. Let me be clear. There is not a single day that goes by where someone doesn't say something negative to me about it. The fake Merc thing. Somewhere on one of my social media, and I don't mean like a troll account necessarily. So yes, the fake Merc thing, I deal with 7 days a week, 365 days a year to this day. Every day. Hey, David, I know you mean well with that statement. Think that through for a moment. I'm going to say this as politely as possible. Hey, man, I wish I would have thought of that. Fair? Damn, man, I wish I never thought of that. I never thought of going to the FBI. I never thought about going into the FBI building a couple times over it. All right. Take care, Peppermint. All right. It says the SSB is almost a form of torture, but the carryover is insane. All joking and BS aside, David, I have literally, physically been to the FBI building twice over this situation. Drove there, walked to the front gate, and went inside. So, has it gone away? Has that resolved the problem? Hey, David. So, how do you propose I make them do something about it? What strategy would you propose that I've not already done? I'm open to suggestions. You know, I have police reports with with 3 different law enforcement agencies around it. So, I mean, I'm open to new suggestions and strategies. If you have something that's not going to take time out of my business that I haven't already tried, all right, you know, so. You know, so even Alex Rosin, I have police reports with both Harris County Sheriff's Department and Houston Police Department against him, for example. Like actual reports with case numbers, cards and everything, you know. It's only so much you can do. Right. So those span like 7 years at this point, or the police reports. It's one person. Yeah. Again, limited in what you can do, man. The wheels of justice turn slowly. So essentially, what's going to happen? Laws change, technology changes, AI. So essentially, cyber stalking is going to be an AI solution at this point, realistically. Yeah, I report. Appreciate it, Connor. David, I guess the flip side. Hey, David, absolutely. So think of that from a legal perspective. I have piles and piles and piles of police reports and stalking reports and death threats through multiple agencies, all the way up to the FBI, going back 10 plus years. I have a hell of a case. You know, have a hell of a case. Right, especially given where I live. You know, so there is that. But back over to other topics. But yeah, right. Yeah, the SSB is definitely difficult, right? But again, the carryover is good. Strength is up. You're getting leaner and more stronger. Leaner, stronger, more jacked every week. Right. Well, we didn't get any supers in here today. We hit 3 hours. Oh well, it happens sometimes. What you gonna do? My gym owner got rid of the SSB and replaced it with a trap bar. Oh man, Connor, boy, that was a great move. Um, I will eventually pick the running back up. It's a question of figuring out where to work it in with the recovery and the timing, and it's that's a lot of what it is. I almost feel like maybe trying to take a quick run tomorrow just to get one in. Problem is, I can't stream it on here because it takes one of my slots up. It kills my algorithm. So then on top of that, and I hate not documenting training, and then I can't live stream YouTube or Facebook at the moment. Like that would be great. But, you know, so there's that. I'm not saying that that's a reason not to do it. Uh, got rid of the weight. It says, what? They got rid of your sleds? I need to go for a run today, but really can't be bothered. I'll have to force myself to go in a couple hours. Yeah, Connor, you need to find a new gym, man. Sounds like it. Man, why do people do stuff like that? They get rid of weighted sleds and get a trap bar. And I know coaches who love trap bars, though. It's I don't know what to say about all that. The conventional deadlift is so great, though. I mean, and I get it. I mean, I've seen like my friend Christian Thibodeau, and I were friends. I mean, he put stuff saying, look, you know, you can build a program around trap bar deadlifts and Zercher squats, and he's not wrong. You know, he's not wrong. It's not like you wouldn't be a strong jack athlete doing that. You know, but still. Trap bar, it's gathering dust anyway, right? That's half the problem with mine, man. The damn trap bar is so big, that Rogue One. It's like so unweldy. Like even for mine, if I wanted to get my trap bar out and use it, you know, it wouldn't even fit on my platform properly. It doesn't even fit correctly on my platform. I just can't, guys. Right. Yeah, it's an awkward implement. And I mean, I get why some coaches like it. You know, so I don't want to pretend like that I think the entire idea is completely stupid. It's that just that awkward lockout situation, you know, and it's not like a conventional deadlift is that hard to learn. I feel like all the arguments back to conventional deadlift come down to people refusing to learn basic form. And so I do understand as a coach who deals with people and some of the horrific stuff that I see, I do understand the point of people won't stop ego. I mean, did you know I've had clients? So Connor, I think you can appreciate this with your own background. When you get clients who have been college athletes and stuff and they can't perform basic movement patterns, you're like, how did you get to this point? Like they try to deadlift, right? And they're pulling with the bar in front of their toes and then wondering why their deadlift is weak and their back hurts when they deadlift. And it's like, weren't you a college, you played sports at a university? But you got to look at it and go, the same thing. They'll try to do a row and they're just like cat backed on a row or something. It's like, what are you doing? But what I mean, it's meaning no concept of keeping the bar midfoot. Like I see this all the time with newer clients or other people, like they're deadlifting with the bar this too far forward. And I'm like, how do people still do this? The same thing, the bench pressing. How many of these bad reputations for exercises are due to just people having no clue on learning basic form? Right? Things that are so easy. And it's just like all these solutions are simply let's just learn how to perform the lifts. They're not difficult. Like it is so easy to learn to deadlift on a conventional deadlift. It really is. But the same thing, we see it with benching. How many dudes got the bar all the way back here? And this is what their bench press looks like, you know? And you just, yeah. But how many people mess it up? They just fishing pull that deadlift up with the weight way too far out in front of their center of gravity and then bounce it off the floor and then wonder why the deadlift gets a reputation that it has. Or pulling with the slack. But they're not gripping and ripping. I could walk over and grip and rip and it would be beautiful. I've seen dudes who grip and rip some serious numbers. You know, but it's that floor bouncing and the weight way out in front of them. They're fishing pulling it up because it's the center of gravity. But it's so easy to learn. It's so easy to learn. But the other thing is the bent elbow thing and the jerking. Right? When they get the whole bent elbow and just jerk it off, try to jerk it off the floor. Like this is what causes most of the bicep tears, right? We know this. So that's slack in the bar. And I feel like straps have reinforced that habit, haven't they? Right? Straps have reinforced that habit. Yeah. And really, all you have to do is just walk over and do a good pull, man. Just get tight, keep the bar midfoot, and pull. But then people have these conversations on the straps. But the problem is you have some really strong, gifted lifters in. Why pull with the strap? But then you watch them sometimes with the straps, and they're doing the same nonsense. With that bent elbow. It's a problem. It's absolutely a problem. Man, this got really slow in here. If you had your own gym, would you ban strap? No, David. Hey, David, let me ask you a question. You start setting weird rules like that in a gym, you're going to be bankrupt real fast. You know, it's hard to make a living, David. It's hard to make a living in the gym industry. It is not a particularly profitable business. You know, so when you start making rules that make people not want to go to your gym, guess what happens? Well, you're going to have to sell the gym to someone else and go find a new business real quick. Some people are injury resistant and they get away with dumb crap. Until they don't, then they're screwed. Yep. That comes back over to, because you survived a round of Russian roulette, it must be safe. I wouldn't ban filming at all. Yeah, I disagree with that. So that's one I definitely disagree with. Yeah, some people might need it. I agree. There are people who do. Someone's missing a couple fingers. Someone's got nerve damage in their hand. They 100% are going to need straps to pull. I feel like doing one set of curls at the end of my workout to date a failure. The main thing is I got to keep the volume low and I got to progressively overload. Because even looking here, like my triceps are not a weak link. It's definitely biceps. Man, I realized that too the other day. I saw one of like Jay Cutler as an older guy, still really jack leaned over, and realized his bicep to tricep ratio. You know, using straps doesn't help me as much as people think to get extra reps. True, I guess they could argue it was indirect discrimination. But that's the thing. They're like, oh, you're shortchanging your back. And it's like, Again, how much do straps contribute to the injuries? So let's talk physiology here and understanding, really and truly understanding the body as it responds to training. If your grip is no longer giving out, and we're talking deadlifting, right? And you no longer have that nervous system release. Because I think guys forget this. It's not always about your grip strength. It's not always about the grip strength that's making the grip limit on a deadlift. Case in point, my deadlift a couple days ago, the grip was giving out with the second rep with 550. Was it because my grip itself was necessarily weak, or was it because my peripheral nervous system fatigue was a little high still? When we strap up on deadlifts, how more frequent are back injuries? This is where we start pulling stuff because we are extending beyond our recovery. But we're extending beyond our recovery to some extent, and that grip is loosening up. When you strap up for it, this is when we start pulling stuff in our back. This is when we start to run into problems. Right? Losing the straps keeps injuries lower. Food for thought. think it's time to wind this down, though, guys. I think we're there. So, love you guys, and we're out.